unbelievably gigantic profits on the backs of slaves. That's what it meant, and that's why they drew their shades. And that day, half the club quit. They left. They started their own club, 1863, the Union Club. Pretty crazy. To the right here, 122 Bowdoin Street, third floor of this building to the right is where JFK, John F. Kennedy, had his legal address. Now, what I mean by that, at the time of his assassination, his driver's license would have read 122 Bowdoin Street. He lived at the White House. He was the President of the United States. But even if you live at the White House today, and you are the President, you cannot use the White House as your legal address. I didn't know that until I worked here. That's all right, though. When I become President, I'm going to change all that. I like you guys. I'm getting good vibes here. I'm letting you know a little early. Next time around, Captain Harley Davidson running for the presidency of the United States. Kids on board. A lot of kids on board. Listen up. When I become president, no school on Fridays.
Yes!
No homework.
Oh,
Summer
yeah.
vacation will be extended straight through September. All the things I wanted when I was a kid, done. Parents, grandparents, you love this one. College, free. If you've paid for college in the last 15 to 20 years, the college or university that you attended will pay you back at 110% just to teach them a lesson. Education shouldn't be a business. How about them apples? Perfect example. You're your neighbor's kid or your own kid or yourself. You go to the bookstore, you buy a book for your biology class. A couple $1,000s for the class, right? Book, $300. Go to sell it back end of the year. Guy's like, $10. Oh, no, sorry, I made a mistake, $7. This really happens, people. Should all be text form. Oh, one more thing. When I become president, not if, when. 5-day work weeks, illegal. 4-day work weeks for everyone. I don't care how old you are, what country you're from, what state you live in, what party you're affiliated with. So far on this tour, who here is going to vote for me for the presidency of the United States? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You rubbing your chin? 19. 19 people. You 19 people are now the only 19 people whom I like and trust on this duck. And when we get out onto the Charles River, you 19 people get to stay on board. Sir in the back there with the green shorts, the phone on right now? Yep, that's you, pal. How old are you?
I'm 11.
You're 11? What's your name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Call you Jake?
Yeah.
All right, Jake. Where you from?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Jake, you put your hand up a solid 3 seconds before anyone else did. You know what that makes you, Jake?
What?
Vice President. It's going to be awesome, dude. We're going to have a lot of fun. Oh, man. Anyways, to the left here, this neighborhood, before the Civil War in this country, this neighborhood was home to one of the largest communities of free blacks in the country. 2,400 black men, women, and children lived in the neighborhood here. Huge part of the Underground Railroad. Thousands of runaway slaves came through here, hiding in basements, attics, walls, crawl spaces, middle of the night, moving from safe house to safe house to safe house until they could get into Canada where they were free and safe. No one knows how many came through because you couldn't keep accurate records. If you got caught with a book that said, okay, last month 50 slaves came through my house, I let them stay here, you're going to federal prison. The Fugitive Federal Slave Act, according to the federal government, black people were property. And I'm glad that changed. Now, anyways, a man named Louis Hayden had a home in here. He was a former slave himself, freed by his owner after many years of service. And he knew the horrors of slavery firsthand. And, of course, he lived in this neighborhood. He's going to harbor runaway slaves and help them on the journey to Canada. But if anyone knocked on Louis Hayden's door, middle of the day, middle of the night, a neighbor, friend, relative, or a pair of slave catchers from down south, he always answered his door with a lit candle. Now that's pretty weird. Now slave catchers would have to come up here and go door to door looking for runaway slaves because no one here wanted the job. No one cared who was a runaway slave and who wasn't. It was also very difficult to determine who was a runaway slave and who wasn't. So many black people lived in the neighborhood. Well, they go door to door. Can we search your home? People just like, no. Shut the door. Not Louis Hayden, no. He would invite them in. But he always answered with a lit candle, right? I say knock on his door, sun shining like it is now. They're looking at the guy. Well, why does this guy have a candle? Whatever. Weird. Can we search your home? He'd say, sure. But before you do, please take a look at your feet. Under the front steps of Louis Hayden's home, he always stored 2 very large kegs of gunpowder. Now, as I saw the gunpowder they're literally standing on, they'd look back at Louis Hayden. What's the first thing they'd see? Lit candle. Now, the next thing they'd see, this is just my own historical interpretation, but I'm pretty sure that the guy was wearing a gigantic smile. Oh, look at all this. That's what's going on down here. All these roads are all closed. Anyways, he would tell him, you can, but if you take one step in my home, I will drop this candle at our feet. I'll blow you up myself, this house, and any runaway slave I may or may not have in here. Please come in. Pretty brave guy, wouldn't you say? I told that story a few years ago to a high school group, and this wise Alex Sr., he put his hand up. I said, what's up, buddy? He said, what do you do if it was windy? I said, I don't know, man. I told him, I said, well, I do know. Massachusetts is the first state in this country to abolish slavery. And the most amazing part about it, the year. 1776, this country gains its independence from England. 10 years later, 1786, signed into law. Any black man, woman, or child living in Massachusetts, free, simple, and almost 100 years before the Civil War. By far the greatest first we have, the abolishment of slavery, that's for sure. Crazy. Now, we're looking at, this is what flat ground here in front of us. This used to be the Boston Harbor. We're coming off of the hilly terrain, back up onto flat ground here. Used to be all water here at one point. The shoreline is right over here to the right. Now, Hurley Building, funky view here. Do you love it or you hate it? Martin Scorsese loved it. He put in his Academy Award-winning movie, The Departed, a few times. You ever see that film? Excellent movie. In front of us, we have the Tip O'Neill Building. Tip O'Neill got a lot of the funding for the Big Dig. And before I continue with the Big Dig, anybody on board here live outside of the United States? Anyone live outside of the U.S.? Where you're from right here, starting up front here, where you're from? Oh, Canada? Canada. And where are you from behind Canada? Denmark? Okay, Canada, Denmark, anybody else? Canada, anybody else? Like Texas, Florida? Okay, you guys from Denmark and Canada, if this is your first time in our country, please don't judge our country by my immaturity alone. Maybe it's too late. You guys from Canada, glad you're here. To the left, TD Garden, home to the Boston Bruins. Greatest hockey team ever. Couldn't finish it off this year, but 2011, we knocked out every team in the NHL, including all teams in Canada. 2012, we did the same thing. You know, in 2011, we had the highest percentage of Canadians on our team of any team in the NHL, including all teams in Canada. Do you know why we did that here in 2011? We're wicked smart. We know that hockey's Canada's sport. We wanted the cup, we got it. Our problem this year, 2012, we didn't have enough Canadians. Next year, we're going at them. To the left here, Leonard P. Zachem, Bunker Hill Bridge, widest cable stayed bridge in the world, 10 lanes wide, where the highway drops under the city where it once ran right through it. In front of us here we have the North End. North End is the oldest neighborhood in Boston. Paul Revere's home is in here. The Old North Church is in here. There is over 100 Italian restaurants in here in 1 square mile. You like Italian food? This is where you need to go. You don't know where to go? Have a cab drop you off on Hanover Street. Get out of the cab, go find a line, stand there and wait. Don't walk by the restaurant with a huge line. That's where the locals eat. Oh, there's Italian restaurants in here. Do you think it's an Italian neighborhood? Nope. It's an Irish neighborhood. Just kidding. Could you imagine 100 Irish restaurants in 1 square mile? Excuse me, sir, I'd like to send this back. It doesn't taste very good. All right, pal, let me boil it again. I'm just kidding. No, I have rights here, people. I put ketchup on my ketchup. Pastry shops, and there are 2 real big ones. Mike's Pastry, Modern Pastry. You guys up front here from Boston? Mike's or Modern? Mike's? And you toss up, though. You had a hard time deciding that one, too. Go have a cannoli at both Mike's or Modern. To the right here, Boston Harbor. At one point considered the busiest harbor in the world. Craziest thing ever shipped out of here? Ice. Up end to the right here, Residence Marriott Inn. That's where Frederick Tudor had a warehouse and wharf. This guy cut blocks of ice out of New England lakes and ponds, packed it in sawdust, and sent it to North Carolina, South Carolina. Guy sent ice to England. He also managed to send ice from this location to India. On the way to India, sailors laughed at him and said, no way, you're going to drown. You're not coming back. It's going to melt in your ship. He laughed all the way to the bank and melted slowly enough it could be bailed out the side. He never had to stop for fresh water. It's on his ship. Sure, on the way to India, he'd lose 70% of his shipment. Still get 30-40% of it there sometimes. Isn't that crazy? Now, get this. After a couple trips to India, he's got food from Boston still fresh. He doesn't pull into port for water, but he's got food. Weird. He put 2 and 2 together. His ship was ice cold, keeping the food fresh. The next trip he makes, he packs extra food and he makes one stop, Boston to India. First person in the world to make such a distance. Cuts his travel time in half. He now delivers 70% of his ice, more than doubles his money, just like that. He's smart enough to realize if his own food makes it there, he starts packing extra food and fruit with his shipments to make more money. Starts selling whatever he get his hands on here in India. Apples, raspberries, cranberries, blueberries, schnozberries, all that good, delicious New England fruit. Schnozberries taste like schnozberries. I'm just making sure you guys are with me. I'll test here, people. Anyways, could you imagine 104 degrees in India, right? No air conditioning, no fans, there's no electricity in the world, so there's zero relief, high humidity. Now imagine you're a 10-year-old kid. Here comes your dad walking down the street with a dripping wet block of ice. What's that called? The world's greatest dad. Wonder why he made $1 million. Up and to the left there. Bunker Hill Monument, 294 steps gets you to the top of that thing. Beautiful views of the city. It's at the end of the Freedom Trail. 3 miles long, you have your legs left. So you get another 294 steps. Here's the Freedom Trail. Red brick line or a red painted line. To the right here, there's the residence in there. I had a tutor in his warehouse in Wharf sent that ice. I had a guy on board from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And he's sitting up here last July. He chimes in, he said, oh, it's kind of funny. Some guy used to send ice from that location all over the world. I've been staying there for 2 weeks, haven't found an ice machine yet. The irony, right? Coming up into a right, this is the largest tall ship in the United States fleet. There is the U.S. Coast Guard Eagle to the right there. That thing is gigantic, and you get a free tour of it today. She's in town. See the flags are up on her? She's in full dress. Coming up and to the right here, we're going to be looking at the USS Constitution. It's the oldest commissioned warship afloat in the world. Ship to our right has been floating in the Atlantic Ocean since 1798, still manned by the Navy to this day. 50 to 80 Navy men and women are aboard this ship giving free tours to the public. So you get a lot of bang for your buck down here. 2 ships here, 2 tall ships, and they are both free. Now the Constitution has a nickname, Old Ironsides. British sailors gave her that nickname. They thought she was made of iron. She wasn't made of iron. She was made of wood. 21.5 inches thick. White oak, live oak, and white oak. The live oak in the center, toughest oak there is. You put all that together, and that's what they believe caused cannonballs to bounce off. First naval battle that ship was engaged in, the War of 1812. A British captain on the HMS Guerriere gave the order, open fire. The crew on that British ship watched their cannonball sail through the air, bounce off the side, and drop in the water. 0 damage. I would have loved to have been there. On the British ship. Here's how my brain works. I want to know what they would have said. Pardon, Captain, should we fire another one? Because I know what happened on the Constitution. 500-man crew. Cannonball bounces off the side, drops in the water. Boop, 0 damage. Within 60 seconds, I guarantee you, some guy's like, Captain, can I re-enlist, please? Because I would have. That ship had a 100% re-enlistment rate. You never had to look for a sailor to fill the hull. Why? You wouldn't be left out in the middle of the ocean. Biggest fear of any sailor is to be left out in the middle of the sea. But if you can't be beat, whoa, hang on tight. If you can't be sunk, then you're safe. You're safe as safe can be. And that ship had a 100% re-enlistment rate. Get this. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of United States naval ships in the United States naval history, and only 2 ships have a claim of a 100% re-enlistment rate. The USS Constitution, for obvious reasons, and another ship in World War II, big old aircraft carrier, the Big E, USS Enterprise. Thousands of men, 5,000 men actually signed up for her. All right, everyone, quick, look to your, look to your right. Quick, look to your right, I'm serious. Everyone, look to the right. Over here. No, look to the right, everybody, look to the right. Don't look, just keep looking to the right. Don't look right, keep looking to the right, it's awesome. Just keep looking to the right. Hey, listen, seriously, we're UPS, they're DHL. You know what I'm saying? Keep looking to the right, keep looking to the right. Someone tell me if this light's green yet. I'll just sit here all day. Maybe this tour is actually better than mine. I bet not. Oh, look at this guy, go get him, buddy. Last time some guy did that to me on my last tour, I just screamed out over the PA so everyone could hear over that guy talking. I'm like, so everybody, that's why alligators have such little arms, because they love to dance. People were just like, what the heck is that guy talking about? Anyways, get over there and take it. It looks like the sun's coming out here, and hopefully it's here to stay. You go get over to the aquarium right by Faneuil Hall. You can get a commuter boat Dolts, $3, 15-minute ride on the harbor. Drop you off next to those two boats right there. Get a free tour. There's 3 museums.